Oh shit. Hold up. Okay. No. I just had a random pop-up come up on my computer. We're good though.
Okay.
We're good though. Okay. Hello everyone. Welcome to the no, okay, fuck that. Hold on.
It's
Okay.
because it's me. It's because it's me. I know.
No. I don't know. I just said it and I was like, okay, I gotta run that back. Okay, let's try that again. Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 4 of Enrique's Entries. I'm here with one of the best people I know, my absolute best friend in the whole world, somebody who has changed my life for the better. And for as long as I've known her, she, I don't even know where to begin. Gismel is many things, a fighter, a winner, an absolute champ, and it's an honor to have her on the podcast because I feel like this has been a long time coming. She's been my best friend for 11 years, and she's going to continue to be for many more. And she's one of the most remarkable people I know. So, without further ado, I'd like to introduce Gismel Gomez to the podcast.
Thank you, Enrique. Damn, that was good.
Thank you.
That was really good. I almost don't know what to say.
All right,
I just feel like
episode.
I just feel like I'm just blushing and I don't know when to stop.
I mean, I have that effect on people. That and my natural good.
And you ruin it. Okay.
Oh man. So thank you so much for finally coming on, making the time to be here. I know you're incredibly busy, but when we get the opportunity to do things like this, it's always great.
For sure, I agree. I just seeing you and your journey through doing the podcast, through making the videos, it sort of inspired me a little bit, to get more in tune with the questions that I ask people and just in general, like they're really entertaining.
Oh, thank
They
you.
really are, and I appreciate it. And I'm sure that a lot of the people that are listening to this right now can agree. They can attest to that for sure.
Yeah, I would hope so.
Seriously.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, podcasting has always been something I've really enjoyed. I don't know. I feel like my audio is kind of like going in and out, or maybe that's just me being picky with how I hear myself.
It's you being picky. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's just me being picky. But yeah, no, this is something that I've loved doing for a really long time and always wanted to. And I've had like prior ventures and everything, but now that I'm actually doing it by myself and on my own, it feels so liberating. It's a whole kind of creative expression that I feel like I've never really had the opportunity to, well, explore before, rather. And I'm really excited to do so, and I'm even more excited to sit down and do it with one of my best friends in the whole world.
I appreciate that, and I agree. Like I could just see the difference in you, your energy in doing it, and just you telling me about it outside of the podcast and our car rides and everything. Like I know you're excited to do it, and you just give so much better content when you feel that way. So much better.
100%. I couldn't agree more. Because when that passion is there, not only are you bringing the value to your content, but it doesn't feel like work at all. It's just something you do. It's just as easy as breathing.
Exactly. We were just talking about that.
Yeah, we were.
We were literally just talking about that. That's awesome. I'm happy for you, bro. Seriously.
Thank you, Gismel. I appreciate that. And I'm happy for you too. Your journey of like personal development and growth, seeing you from where you were even like 3 years ago, let alone 5, and when we were in middle school together, it's really astounding. And that's part of why I wanted to bring you here today, to just talk about your journey of personal development and what it's been able to do for you and how it's made you and your life so much better since.
Thank you. Where do we start?
Okay, on a dark, cold night in 1999. No, I'm playing.
It was actually a really nice day. It was in Dominican Republic, so.
Oh, was it? Okay,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. It was a beautiful sunny day under the palm trees in a sun-laden village in the Dominican Republic. Now, how about we start?
You go to Dominican Republic once, and then now you think you know it all, huh?
Yeah, for real. Mountains and palm trees.
So specific.
How about we start with? Would you like to start with G Money?
Yeah.
What was your name? Because honestly, I feel like I'd heard you go through so many different iterations. I don't know which to call or which to reference to.
No, I mean, when I got into the whole, because the G Money and all of the names that we're speaking about, that was, for the viewers that don't know, that was kind of almost like my alter ego, I guess you could say, or not even that. That's just the path that I was trying to take with my music.
Mhm.
And I mean, when I got started, I just wanted to go with Gismel. I thought that that was super unique as it was. And honestly, I probably should have kept it that way.
Yeah.
Right. But then I got into Young Prodigy. That was the next name that I wanted. And because I felt, man, I'm the youngest in the game right now. You know, this is me talking to myself as I'm singing to a mic.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was Young Prodigy. And then I think for a very long time, people just said, all right, let's just go with G. And then that just stuck for a very long time. And then I saw somebody on Instagram change their Instagram name to, I don't remember what it was, but it was like, you know what? I'm going to make fun of my name. And because I'm not a rapper, I'm just going to put not because I'm not a rapper, because I don't have because I'm broke right now and I don't have money, I'm going to change my name to G Money. That's what I'm going to do. And that stuck.
Mhm.
Honestly, that's not even the name that I had. My name was always G. Once I discovered that that was it. But a lot of people, once they saw my Instagram as that, they were like, oh, that's G Money. And that just, it started something, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I remember I went to a performance of yours. I think it was like in the Bushwick area a few years ago.
Yeah, I remember that. There was no stage, right? It was just a crowd of people. Yeah.
It was like an art gallery that you were
Yes.
performing at. And there were a lot of people there too. So this isn't like to undersell it. Like you were very good and people like were listening and tuning in. And I remember it distinctly because you had the crowd saying happy birthday to me because it was the night before my birthday.
Yeah.
And I think it turned midnight while we were there or something
Yes.
like that.
It was. That's why we were singing happy birthday.
Yeah. No, that's one specific thing I'll always remember. But yeah, no, G Money. Okay. I'll remember that now whenever we reference 1.0.
Yeah, right. Because I mean, I guess that was my 1.0 self, or at least
Mhm.
what I remember it to be for
Mhm.
sure. And I think after that, that's what started the whole personal development journey. I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little bit weird right now because I don't know if I should keep talking about it, only because I'm typically the one that stops talking about me and starts asking the questions.
Oh,
That's
yeah,
usually
no.
my dynamic.
Yeah, no, I get that. No, don't worry. I know we're a little out of your element, but hey, the only way to get comfortable is to get uncomfortable first, right?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
So I guess the personal development stuff, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I just remember because I'm young, right? I'm 21 years old, but I just remember being in high school and just getting a lot of, how can I put this? I guess a lot of emotions sprung out of me in high school. Like everyone, you know, you're going through your teenage hormones, you're discovering who you are, you're finding yourself. And in high school was when I realized, okay, I definitely don't like men, right? That was one of the things. I'm like, okay, I really tried it, but I don't like men. And then the other one was just, I want to put my all into this music and I want to be surrounded by good people. But what ended up happening was I started adapting to other people's personalities and who they were. And I would sort of copy that. And I was never true to who I was. And I'm sure I'm not the only one that felt that way in high school. But I just distinctly remember having a conversation with one of my friends and her telling me like, Gismel, you could never be by yourself. Like you didn't have your own personality. And I don't even think she remembers this conversation if I bring it up, but that stuck with me so much, like the same way that the birthday stuck with you, right? It really did, because that's when it hit me like, okay, maybe I am. So after high school and for a little bit of college, that's when I really started saying, okay, who am I? How can I separate myself from the average person and become me, and then allow other people to feel comfortable enough to be like, hey, I want to go where she's going. I want to be around her. So that took a little bit of time, and I'm not there at all, but I definitely think that in the past 3 years, I'm a lot further than where I've been, for sure.
Oh yeah, no, I would 100% agree with you. I think that it's really important to have that phase of, or I don't know, I guess there's really no better way, at least that I can think of putting it right now, is like an identity crisis. But I don't necessarily think that connotates a bad thing either when people talk about it, you know?
No. And it shouldn't be something that, hey, because I'm 21 years old and identity crisis is okay. People go through this when they're in their 30s, 40s, and 50s. The point is, you're never too old enough to develop. Exactly. You're never too old enough or young enough to change and grow and develop, and not necessarily change who you are. A lot of people talk to me today and they're like, wait, you still do that? I didn't know that you still do that. Like, I didn't know that's who you were. I thought that you were a completely different person.
Yeah.
I'm still Gismel. You know, that's still who I am. Maybe I don't make music, right? Maybe at least not to the public's eye, right? But I'm still who I am. It's just I'm a way better version of it. Way better. And it helps the people around me too. You know, because go ahead.
No. Go ahead. Finish your thought. I don't want to cut you off.
No, I mean, it's just it helps the people around me too. And I think that's another thing that triggered me was I don't want the people around me to feel like I'm like they're hanging out with me, like they're hanging out with themselves. You know, like I want people to feel like, okay, Gismel's a great addition to this because she has these unique qualities. Maybe I did, but I just felt for a very long time that wasn't visible to me. You know?
No, I get that 100%. And it's important to have those kinds of revelations. I think probably it's easier for us now sooner than later, especially because we're still learning to establish ourselves too at our young age. But the fact that you were able to do that and discover who you were and continuing to discover who you are now and are considerably more mature than a lot of people our age is something that I just have to commend you for, because the growth I've seen in you, like I've been saying, and I'll continue to say, is tremendous. And I completely agree with that desire to want to add something to the group, you know, just something to contribute as opposed to being two of the same kind or three of the same kind, you know?
Yeah.
Like this is something that you and I like hear a lot, but your associations are key. Like a lot of people kind of just shrug off when they hear you're the sum of your 5 best friends. But when you think about it, you really are. Like there's a reason that you guys hang out with each other, you know. There's a reason that you call each other best friends, but sometimes that might not always be beneficial for you, you know.
Yeah, and I think I still do it to this day, and maybe people hate me for it. I get it. That's fine. You can. But I had to learn that certain people were not giving me what I desired. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, right? You can keep people from a distance. You can still love on them from afar. But if you have a goal, if you have a vision in which, you know, both of us do, right? Then right now you just can't afford to have distractions. That's what I've come to realize. And if that means separating yourself from certain people that maybe they just want to focus on the fun a little bit more, I will always love them. It's just I need to be surrounded by things that are going to benefit me.
Yeah.
That are going to help me, because that is only going to help me help you later on. But you have to be selfish to eventually be selfless, right? That's what it starts with. So in that phase of understanding who G was, understanding who Gismel was, it was a lot of that, surrounding myself with people that were going to help me achieve something, mentors, friends. I moved in with one of my friends for a little bit. His name was Kelvin, right? And he mentored me and he helped me through a lot of the things. And that's what really started my personal development journey, was looking at somebody else and being like, I'm not there yet, but I want to get there. You know, that's really what started it. And in the beginning, they used to intimidate me. Man, they're better than me. I'm comparing myself. I want to be like them, but I can't. When in reality, let me take all of the good that I can from them and then apply it to myself and make it my own version.
Yes.
You know, so that's what that was very early on in the beginning.
Oh yeah, no, 100%. I think the tool, or rather, I think self-reflection is an incredibly important tool. And not everyone has that ability. And there's nothing wrong. Oh, sorry. I thought my phone was going off. I thought I was going to have to pause for a second. I'm just going to put that in my pocket. But no, what I was saying is that, yeah, the self-reflection is an incredibly important tool that not everybody has the ability to use. I think that those who do are able to realize what they did wrong before others tell them what they did wrong. It's very powerful, because if you have the ability to recognize what you've done that you might not have agreed with, or rather where the errors of your ways were, it makes it a whole lot easier for you to self-adjust, because people can't always take constructive criticism either. So those two compounding on each other kind of just set you back anytime you try to take a step forward.
Yeah, and I want to touch real quick on what you said in the beginning, which is that not everybody has the ability to do it. Right? I got to disagree. Everybody does, but what prevents us is our ego. You know, like we all have an ego, some bigger than others. But the thing is our ego is what prevents us from seeing fact from false, like from not true, right? So it's, you have to take everything in. And this is one of the things that my mentor taught me is you got to take everything in it, look at it from a bird's eye view, take a step back, because most of the time our decisions are based off of emotion, right? That's what irrational people do. Rational people make decisions based off of logic. So it's important to take a step back and recognize this. Once you take this step back, the self-reflection is going to happen naturally, right? The understanding what's going on up here and maybe what's triggering that emotion, that's all going to happen naturally. But our ego most of the time prevents us from doing this. The first step is recognizing that. That's the first step. When I got into the personal development journey, that was one of the biggest things. I remember in high school, I would just let other people dictate my worth, my emotions, my mood. It sucked. You know, I would hear somebody say something and now I'm upset for the rest of the day. Maybe it was like a comment that they made about me, or I don't know. It was just little things would have such a rise out of me. A lot of it came from my family, from my household. But I didn't want to live like that anymore. I didn't want to feel like other people had power over me. So that's where the personal development, that's where it really started. Where I said, okay, I really got to make a shift in how I feel about me and what I'm allowing to dictate with my emotions and on a day-to-day basis. You know, that's really where it comes from.
Yeah. So let me rephrase that. Yet people don't have the ability yet. That was what I meant. So I do agree with you though. But yeah, no, I think that you just, let me rephrase that. I'm probably going to go out and like edit this part so it's a little more seamless. So I think that when it comes to just trying to start the journey of personal development in general, I feel as though you need that motivation to keep you going, you know, like something similar to yours. That's an incredibly powerful why, if you will, to make sure that others don't control your emotions so that they don't have that power over you. It's not, I want to commend you because not everybody has the ability to do it now. Let me clarify my words this time. Yeah. And especially at our age, a lot of people feel as though, yeah, they have the time to mess up. But just because you have the time to do something, I don't think necessarily you should use that time, or rather act as though that time is always going to be there, you know, that it's going to be expendable. Because I'm someone who thinks that one's own time, at least in what I believe, in my own, the way I view time for myself, is that I always like to put it to use, you know? I don't like having something go by or having time go by and I feel like I'm not doing something productive, at least in some aspect of my life, you know? Like I'll make the exception when it's to sit down and watch something that like I'm really interested in, you know, because I'm watching something I'm really interested in. But when it's just like sitting down at home, just on my phone, scrolling Instagram, like I get decompressing, but when it's just like mindlessly scrolling, it kind of doesn't feel like decompressing. It just feels monotonous, bland, and I just feel like I'm not doing anything, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. And, you know, it's funny because we teach like compounding effective interest. You know, that's something that I harp on a lot, especially on my TikTok and everything. Well, what about the compounding effect of time?
Yeah.
Like when yes, we have time to mess up. We have time to learn from our mistakes. What we don't have time to do is mess up and then now think, okay, how can I turn that L into a lesson, right? Like we don't have the time to not do that, right? Because it's important that we make sure that every learning experience, we find a way to, okay, how can I learn from that? That's how I got to the point of being emotionally exhausted of my feelings being controlled by somebody else. That dictated that led to me living in my car, because that allowed me to have somebody else tell me what to do, what I'm going to do with my life, everything. That's what led to that point. Had I not realized that, we wouldn't be on this podcast right now. We'd probably be in my car doing the podcast, or there would be nothing to speak about because I would still be the same Gismel that I was 2-3 years ago, having led to that point, right? From listening to other people and allowing them to dictate my everyday life. And a lot of people are in that cycle, and unfortunately, not too many recognize that.
Yeah, 100%. Which is why I guess it just brings us back to that main point we were talking about. Self-reflection is an incredibly important tool. And those who, it's kind of like compound interest as the eighth wonder of the world, you know. Thank you, Albert Einstein. Um it's those who learn it, use it. I'm probably paraphrasing terribly, but those who fail to use it are only going to suffer in the long run. Yeah, that was a huge
Exactly.
paraphrasal, but
You got it for the most part.
yeah, the essence was there in the analogy.
Exactly.
But you're talking about TikTok, so I guess I'll move it there. Tell me about TikTok. You know, I've seen how you've grown tremendously on the platform. I see the messages that you're spreading, but on the occasion you'll get the troll, the naysayer. You know, we all do. Tell me
Yeah.
about that. Have you been dealing with them?
It's I laugh at them a lot.
Mhm.
The Gismel before would have probably sent a bunch of comments back, would probably have not went to sleep last night looking at all those comments and beating myself up about it. But I think that's the fun in personal development, is that once you get to a certain point where things don't phase you or you understand who you are, a lot of
Mhm.
the naysayers and the haters, they start to just become flies that you just swat away. You know, like, you've ever seen Night at the museum,
Yeah.
when, what is it, that big guy, they're throwing, like, they're super tiny and they're throwing like toothpicks at him, is that what it is?
Yeah, yeah, like the little miniature cowboys and like
And
Roman
he's,
soldiers.
yeah, and he's still going in there, he's still marching, right?
Mhm.
Because that's how I feel, that's almost how it feels when these naysayers are coming. Hey, I get it, I get where they're coming from, but I also understand what I'm doing, and I understand that what I'm doing is just so much bigger than a 14-year-old who doesn't know what to do with their day.
Mhm.
Like, it's, I just know that if 10,000 people comment something bad, I know one person is going to take it and be like, wow, I can take this and run with it. And that one person means more to me than what a million comments could do. It really does.
100%. Yeah.
So it's, it doesn't phase me. I actually put out a message today addressing it, mainly because I just want people to go ahead, keep trolling, but don't miss out on what I'm teaching either.
Mhm.
And it kind of inspired me to say, okay, how can I help the people that go through this on an everyday basis and maybe aren't there mentally to take it to, like, cyberbullying and all of those things.
Yeah.
It almost made me want to, okay, how can I give back to the world with this right here? Like, if I'm going through this, a bunch of people are going through it too. I wonder how they're handling
Oh yeah.
it. But once again, personal development is what gets you to that point. Had I not been there, I don't even know if I'd be strong enough to talk about it right now.
Yeah, no, that's really something because I mean, we're over here and we laugh at social media, but that's because like we're at that point in our journey too, you know, like at the trolls on social media
Yeah.
and such. For a lot of people, for a lot of young kids, especially, like I remember when I was on Instagram and social media at like 15, 16, a lot of it was just so consumed in keeping up with the Joneses, if you will, you know, the good old saying, trying to live the lifestyle that others are living, but also trying to maintain that happy picture, you know, and overly obsessing about how people are seeing you. And what that can lead to, especially if you're not careful or aware of it early on, is just a really like dark cycle of not thinking that you're all worth it and everything like that because you don't compare to somebody else who's getting an arbitrary amount of likes on a digital platform that essentially doesn't mean anything, you
Yeah.
know?
And
And
go ahead.
oh yeah, no, and I was going to say that like not everyone has the mental toughness to really deal with that stuff.
Yeah, what we're doing there is, social media is a comparison game. That's what it is. And it can get so dangerous because we're comparing ourselves to people that are in a different chapter than the chapter that we're in. My
Mhm.
chapter 12 could be your chapter 1 right now. So you can't compare me to you when maybe I just started, or maybe you just started and you're looking at me like, I wish I had that. Use it as motivation for sure, but you can't compare someone's chapter 20 to your chapter 4. You just can't.
Yeah,
It's, everybody pays the price their own way. Everybody handles it their own way. Success comes to people in very different ways. But one thing's for certain, you're going to go through the downside. Just because somebody's not showing you their downside doesn't mean that it's not there.
100%. Yeah, it really just helps perpetuate the idea that everybody's like always okay, which further stigmatizes things like mental health issues in which people aren't okay. And it's okay to not be okay, you know? But that message kind of gets lost in translation with all the other floods of info in which people are only showing the best parts of their life and not really being their true selves.
There's been so many times where just in my relationship with Caitlin,
Mm-hmm.
like we've been together for 6 years now. And from those 6 years, there was a point where I was like, wait, this couple's doing this on social media and they're doing this. Yo, should we start YouTube? Should we get into TikTok? Like, what should we do? Just trying to keep up. And then I look back and I'm like, hold on. That's not who we are, number one.
Yeah.
And then I started thinking, man, this couple is doing this. Should we start doing it a certain way? They argued about this. Are we arguing about that? They didn't argue about this, but maybe I reacted differently than how they did. But the bottom line is they probably go through exactly what we're going through. It's just not televised.
Yeah.
Like it's not what I forgot a saying, but something about the process. It's not televised.
Yeah, no,
it's not. The process isn't. The success is. The ending point is. But we are so caught up in thinking that ending point and what is televised is exactly where things should be right off the bat. When that's just, it's not it at all. It's not.
Yeah, 100%. You don't see the roots of the plant. You only see the flower that blooms at the top.
Exactly.
And
that was way better than me.
Oh, thank you. I mean, I had time to think about it while you were speaking, so I had a few different iterations working. But no, you don't. You're right. You don't see everything else these people go through, and especially if your heart's not in it, there's nothing worse than jumping into a field like this in content creation or just being on social media in general, like you or I, as somebody who puts themselves out there, open to the world. It leaves us open to criticism. And if you're already not able to deal with the criticism you get from the people around you, you're going to have a really, really hard time dealing with it from people you don't know.
Yeah. And it's, once again, right back to the topic in the beginning, you're allowing other people to dictate your actions. Because what that does now is you look at TikTok, or let's just say if that's the example, you look at TikTok and now you're like, I don't want to even be on this app because people are just hating on me and making it about me. Okay, let's take a step back really quick. Number one, that person on the keyboard, behind the keyboard, probably wouldn't have said that to your face if they met you in person. That's number one.
Yeah.
And number two, it's just, now you look at TikTok and maybe that passion that you had for content creation, maybe that's gone now because you allowed those hate comments to dictate how you feel. And think about how many dreams, how many inventions or businesses weren't done because somebody allowed someone else to dictate how they were or their worth or their idea. It's, yeah.
Yeah, it's got to be a near endless amount of people who have just really just like given up on their dreams because they felt as though that they don't have the willpower, I guess, to really execute it, because of it. Others have infiltrated their thoughts and given them thoughts about themselves that they probably never would have had in the first place.
Yeah. And the bottom line is that success, it's not about who's the best. It's simply about who didn't give up. Mm-hmm. Success is just losing a lot longer than somebody else. That's literally what it is. I use Kobe as an example, or not even Kobe. Let's take it back. Tim Grover.
Okay.
Right. Tim Grover, the author of Relentless, of Winning. Right. He's the one that trained Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant. Right. And one of the things that he said recently in one of his interviews was Kobe and Michael weren't even my most talented players. They weren't that good. He had people that were way more coordinated, people that were way more talented physically. The only difference is that Kobe and Michael didn't give up. So if we're going to leave anything, it's that.
Yeah. It's so important. Like, it just goes to show, I mean, Kobe is lauded for his work ethic and consistency. I don't see the same reverence for Michael Jordan that I do for Kobe. Like, there's no like MJ mentality or shit like that,
Yeah.
Like the fact that Kobe is so, when you hear Kobe Bryant, you always think Black Mamba and then Mamba mentality. It is literally synonymous with his name and his identity. And that goes to show that work ethic and consistency are going to get you so much farther than natural raw talent, because those can only get you but so far if you don't have the additive principles to propel yourself further, you know? Like it's just like one wheel on a car and you need all four to get it going.
100%, 100%. But the biggest thing that we have to recognize is that we can't expect it to be easy in the process. We can't expect that personal development. There were so many days where I just wanted to go back to what Gismel 1.0 was doing, which was partying every day and doing things that cops wouldn't like, you know? Like that's what life was like back then. There were so many times where that was easier. Mm-hmm. But if the life that I wanted to have with Caitlin, if the life that I wanted to give my family was so important to me, those nights weren't worth it anymore. They weren't.
No, I get that. And not a lot of people are willing to give that up either. You know, not a lot of people are willing to. I'm sorry, I just gotta fix my desk real quick because I am not getting like the proper lighting that I should be. All right, hopefully that's a little better. Sorry about that, everyone. What I was gonna say, it's crazy. It's like I just had it, and then as I continued to talk just a little bit more, I forgot all of it.
Let me see if I can help you.
Yes, not a lot of people were willing to pay that price, the upfront price of success. There's some quote about that, but
are you talking? Is it from the call that we were just on with Anna?
Yeah.
Success. I think it's like success demands a price, something like that.
Yes.
I was looking for it the other day. I think it's like success demands a price and it's not going to give you a discount, something like that. But that's good too.
Yeah, no, that's a really great one. And more often than not, if you told people straight up what they were going to have to do in order to make it where they want to make it, not everyone is going to.
Yeah. There's this saying that I learned. If I told you, hey, at the end of the year, I'll give you $5 million if every single day you wake up at 6 a.m. and go deliver newspapers to your neighborhood, would you do it? And automatically, what are people's responses?
Everyone would say, yeah, of course, because they just see it as like a bird's eye view.
100%. And then day one starts, oh yeah, this isn't that bad. Day two, okay, we're getting there, so close, you know, we got 363 more days. And then week one is done, and you're looking and you're like, it's raining outside. Do I really want to do this? You still do it. You're guaranteed the $5 million, right? Here's the thing. Success is the same way. I just know that if you work long enough, it's going to happen. It is going to happen no matter what. If you work long enough and hard enough, it'll happen. The problem is people quit right before they get to that point. But then when we're guaranteed something like, $5 million, it's not easy. It's not that easy, right? But we fall in love with the idea of it. We do. But it's about falling in love with the process.
Yeah.
Falling in love with the process.
For sure. Especially as an entrepreneur, I can only imagine having to learn those success principles, having to deal with failures, you know, it's really, really tough because when you're in business, for the most part, it's just you. Like you'll get the occasional, like not handout. It's not at all the word I'm trying to use, but occasionally you'll get like more, support, wind under your wings, if you will.
Yeah.
But for the most part, a lot of it is just you on your own, like fighting that mental battle with yourself and also just getting the work done.
I can't tell you how many nights I just couldn't sleep because my mind was just going in circles. What am I going to do? How am I going to afford food tomorrow? Like that's all that I would think, sitting in my car, just thinking, how the heck am I going to get out of this car? But the problem is that that's me thinking in the present moment. This is me paying attention to the problems that I currently have, not what I have to do that's going to get me out of these problems. Once I shift my mentality to do that, hey, focus on the future, focus on what could happen if you just do these things. That's when the personal development really, I guess, played a role in. And that's where it helped. That's where I continued the motivation to do it. And then I look back, now talking about it 2 years later, I'm like, I'm so freaking glad that I didn't give up.
Yeah.
I'm so glad that I didn't.
Yeah,
And
speaking. Oh, I'm
we're
sorry. Go
not
ahead.
even no, we're not even freaking halfway there yet.
No, we're not.
That's
Far
a
from it.
crazy thing.
Yeah. Speaking it into the universe is so important too, because not only are you just speaking it out there, you are making yourself believe in it. You're willing yourself into believing it. And it helps set that foundation, that principle of what you want to do in your brain so that you truly believe that you can do it. Because if you don't work towards what you want to do, but especially if you don't believe that what you want to do is going to get you where you want to be, then it's kind of just a waste of time, you know? If you aren't, well, let me not say that fully, but it's not as useful, you know? Like what you're if you're not doing something that's going to help you get to the point where you want to be in your future, or if you are and you're half-assing it, then what are you doing, you know? If you're not growing, you're dying, as the age-old adage goes.
Exactly. I couldn't have said it better myself. Seriously.
Mhm.
Exactly. But
Okay.
that's what
No.
we're. No, I mean that's just. I'm just excited because it's not often that you find people that agree with that. You know,
Mhm.
or so it's exciting to me that we're doing this and have been
Yeah.
talking about this.
Yeah, for sure. No, a lot of people our age too just aren't willing to have that conversation. I'm sorry. I got to plug in
Exactly.
my computer charger, but while I'm doing this, I'll say, yeah, no, a lot of people our age just aren't willing to do it. I think that more and more as time goes on, I'm seeing so many more young entrepreneurs, young creatives, a lot of people who are willing to put themselves out there. And in doing that, are also being mindful of what they're doing, how they're doing it. There's a lot more conscientiousness that goes into being an entrepreneur nowadays. And I feel like there's a whole lot more moral integrity in it too.
Yeah.
So I feel like the future, for all intents and purposes, is really bright. A lot more bright than we give it credit for sure.
Yeah. I agree. And I think a lot of that is social media. You
Mm-hmm.
know, like there's a lot of mentors out there giving advice, and I appreciate that so much because prior to that, it would be so hard to find somebody that'll guide you and teach you everything that you know.
Oh
You
yeah.
know, it's hard. But now through social media, we see so many examples of that, and we recognize that. So there's the goods and bads of the social media, basically.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. It's got its ups and it's certainly got its downs. But
Exactly.
it is a shame that there is a whole heaping of bad that comes with the whole heaping of good of social media, such as being able to connect with people from all around the world, find those with common interests. But on any road, you're bound to find a few potholes, you know? I was going to say sure, so that's where that came from. But yeah, no, you're bound to find a few potholes on any road along the way, or a few bumps rather. So it is a shame, but being mindful of that especially is so important. Yeah, no,
you
no, I'm sorry,
no,
go ahead.
nothing nothing good comes easily. Nothing good, nothing lasting
Mhm.
comes free or easily. There always has to be a price that is paid,
Oh yeah.
whether that is a dollar amount, whether
Hmm.
that is sacrifice. There always is going to be something. You're fooling yourself thinking that there won't be, hoping that you get lucky. You're fooling yourself. What you could be doing instead is in that time prepping yourself for when that moment happens. You know, I've had little moments of those throughout this process, but I say little because at the time they felt so big. And then
Hmm.
as you accomplish those, you get bigger and the problems begin to get smaller. Now, the size of the problems are only going to get bigger as success gets closer, but you've equipped yourself enough with the strength to get there by going through all of those little problems and getting to that point.
Exactly. Yeah. Which is why consistency is so
Oh yeah,
important, because you've already weathered yourself to those conditions. So when it happens again, or something bigger, like you're saying, comes up, it's so much easier to deal with. You're much better equipped. Much better equipped.
100%.
Yeah. I want to shift the conversation now, since we're talking about all of this. We're talking about adversity. Let's lighten the mood. Why don't you tell me about, or I already know, but I want to hear you speak about it to the listeners and the viewers as well, since we want to bring them as much value as possible. Tell me about your vision, what you want to do, what you want to accomplish, and yeah, speak it into existence and let the people know, because I feel like it's something really admirable and I want everybody to hear about it.
I appreciate that. And it's funny because I just think that I keep adding more every day. Like after the TikTok thing, I'm like, oh my God, I need to create some type of cyberbullying, maybe donate more to some charities or organizations that help prevent it, maybe create something of my own. It's my vision is to, here's what I believe. And I'll ask the viewers this, you know the answer to this, but you could speak for the viewers. Have you ever met somebody else named Gismel?
No, I haven't.
It's funny because people have come to me and said, yeah, I have. I've gotten 2 people my entire life that have told me, yeah, I know of somebody. And I think they were the same person. But that's besides the point. So probably not. I'd be damned if I leave this earth and nobody still knows that name. That's my vision. It's to leave this world with, not necessarily because of fame, because maybe I hit something along the road and people knew me because of that. It's because almost everybody or most of the world can say, she did something for me. She changed my life some way, somehow. The beginning of that was music. I wanted to give people the opportunity to be heard, because for my entire life, I felt I wasn't heard. And granted, had I continued music, we're speaking about being consistent, right? Had I continued music, I know where I would be right now. But something like that is a passion to you, you don't want it to feel like a chore. And that's what it was starting to feel like, you know? So I felt my purpose with music was to discover it, understand what it took, and then help others get through that process. Not necessarily me go through it, help others get through it. So my vision overall, the first thing that I want to do, I want to open a nonprofit record label. I want to allow kids, special needs, kids, adults, anybody to come in and with a little bit of talent and say, hey, look, listen, I need help with this. We get them really freaking good. And hey, maybe I'll sign them. And then I sign them. And then now, because of my establishments and doing other things, I can introduce them to somebody. And then that's when the money will start flowing. But I want to be the source for people that gives them the opportunity to dream again. In our lives, we dream, and then we get to a certain age where dreaming sounds foolish. And then you just have to settle in for reality. And I just don't think that's fair. I don't think that our parents came into this country to settle for a reality.
Yeah.
I don't.
Oh,
so,
man.
Yeah, so that's one of my visions. I want to, there's so much. I want to open therapy centers, like counseling centers for maybe kids that they don't feel comfortable in their school, or just, I don't even know if the world is going to have space for all of these centers, but we're going to figure it out. But I just want to be able to give back to communities in ways that I just know that if I was given back, life would be so freaking different right now. So different. Whether it's special needs, whether it's for music, whether it's for therapy, it doesn't matter. You know, that's all our emotions and what we go through. They should be validated for sure.
100%. Yeah. And that's why I love talking to you, Gismel, for real, because I've seen the different adversities, the struggles you've gone through, and to see where you are now is truly amazing, because there's not many people who have gone through all of those things and would have gotten as far as you have, you know. Some people would have just regressed as a means of coping with things. Other people would have let things get to them too much, and then they would have just not taken advantage of their full potential as a person. But you've let everything become your motivation and your reasons to never go back to that place and only excel further. And hearing your mission about creating the nonprofit record label, about helping communities of, communities in which mental health is not really, it's not accessible, and it's also in some ways still very, very taboo. You know, like I can speak for the Latin community. So many people in the Latin community don't think that mental health is something, quite frankly, that even exists.
Yeah.
You know?
Yes. Yep.
Like parents won't think that it's sad. Depression, what is that? You know, that's not a real thing. It's like it's a very rugged individualism approach, because they're just like, you pick yourself up by your bootstraps and that's it. You get on with life. But that is so much easier said than done.
Yeah.
And it just creates more pain to respond to someone that way, as opposed to actually listening to them and finding a solution or a way for them to reach where they want to be, like mentally speaking, you know?
That is so true. And when, I mean, if I apply that in my life, right? I grew up in a household where my parents, I love them to death, but my parents, they wouldn't want to go out. And I remember, like, I'm sure you can remember too, when we used to plan on go to play baseball in the park, like we would do it almost every day in the summer. The summers were the best with us because we knew
100%.
where we were going to be, what we were going to be doing.
Yeah.
So I just remember it being such a problem for my parents, me going out, me experiencing life and doing things, because they always felt that things were dangerous. And I remember telling them, man, I feel bored or I feel upset. And they would just look at me like, well, we grew up where we were always bored and we always found something to do. And okay, you know, but that led to a series of events that eventually I resented my parents for a very long time. I did. And it's simply because my mental health just wasn't validated. It wasn't, if it was pushed to the side, it wasn't important, it wasn't serious. But luckily I had good people around me, and I was able to recognize that early on. Imagine a bunch of people that don't seem to know that, and then their emotions start to take over them, and then their mental health really gets worse because of experiences like that.
Yeah.
It
and
sucks.
To think about how that might compound, or rather the effect of that, the consequences of not having that validated might compound if you have, what's the word I'm looking for? If you have a diagnosis because something is genetic, you know, like if you have a family history of mental health issues, or I don't know if illnesses is still the right word to use. So I'm really cautious in saying that. And if it wasn't the right word, please let me know, because I don't want to speak like out of hand or be offensive, because I am trying to educate myself.
Yeah.
So please, if I use the wrong word, don't be afraid to call me out. But with that being said, that consequence can be even worse if there's a genetic history of mental health issues. Yeah.
100%. So just imagine if all of the people, or not even all the people, but a lot of the people that are going to be successful, imagine we all just came together and gave back to those the most important things, how different the world would be. And I think that's sort of where I'm at right now, where I'm connecting with people and I'm surrounded by people that all pretty much want to do the same good in the world. Now it's just about going after it and doing it.
Yeah.
You know, so that's my vision. That's where we're at.
That's great. No, because you want to be the change that you want to see in the world.
Yeah.
Because you can't just wait on things to happen. Somebody's got to do it. And if you want it done that bad, best way is to go and do it yourself.
Yeah, that's why that's why the TikTok hates, those comments, they don't bother me, because I just know that one day I'm going to help them. And maybe they'll recognize me, maybe they won't. I definitely won't. But maybe they'll look at me and be like, you know, you didn't have to do that with the way that I treated you. And my response is, yeah, I know. You know, and to me, that's more powerful than feeding into it.
Yeah, 100%. It's always it, especially because you don't give people what they want. They're only doing that. They're only bugging you. They're only trolling you because they themselves are insecure.
Yeah.
And they're doing it to get a response out of you because they want to know that they're not alone in being insecure.
That's one of our mentors. I mean, you've heard it before. It's, you can either be right or you could be successful. And for a very long time before my personal development, I spent it being right. I need to be right no matter what. And I know a bunch of people that are going through this right now, where it's like, I need to be right no matter what. I don't care what I did that was stupid. You were wrong for this, and that. Stop pointing the finger, because you know what? When there's a stupid person and a logical person having an argument, the people that are looking at it from a 20-foot distance, they can't tell who's the stupid one. No, they can't. So it's, you can either be right or you can be successful. You can either do whatever you can to prove your point, and then risk looking stupid, or you can understand where you were coming from, have good intentions, and just hope that one day they'll understand. And to me, that's a better reward than being right in the present moment.
Oh, 100%. Hold on.
Yeah.
Where is this? I just wanted to give you that clap reaction. Like I had nothing else to say to that. And that's not well, you left me speechless, and that's a good thing because you know me. I talk a whole lot. Lot. It's very hard to keep me quiet. But I feel like that was just a perfect mic drop, honestly. You you just worded everything so perfectly and added a little bow on top because it's so true that engaging with these people, or rather engaging with them and giving them what they want, is only counterproductive to what you want to do and how you want to move forward, and it feeds them too, because they just go ahead and keep on doing it, and they keep spreading that hate,
Oh my God,
that
yeah.
pain. But showing them that love, that empathy, like it's so much more effective than stooping to their level.
I got a perfect story for this that happened to me recently. We went down to North Carolina for like a business trip, and I think I told you this.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah.
But I'm excited for everyone else to hear it because I think there's a really important lesson here.
Yeah. So we went down to North Carolina for a business trip, and when I say we, it was me, my beautiful girlfriend Caitlin. Shout out to you. It was my really good friend, business partner Michael, and then my other really good friend and business partners Andrea and Tamia. And Andrea and Tamia, they were in a separate car, so they were meeting us later. So the Airbnb that we were in, it was like a townhouse kind of thing where it was connected to different houses, and then it was just a huge backyard in the back where they were all connected. Okay. And in the backyard, there was a nice large pool that we got to go to. So we were prepping for the pool, and we went in there, and there was this guy there. And you know what? You're lucky that you're getting a shout out if you ever run into this, because you don't deserve that attention. But I think that it's just a super valuable lesson. Mm-hmm. So the guy that I don't know if he was a lifeguard. I think he was, or he was just guarding the pool. He was sitting there the whole day. So we go in there and we start swimming, just hanging out. I can't swim, and you know that. I can't swim.
I can't either. You're not alone.
I have this like weird fear with water where if I don't touch the bottom, I'm not doing it. I'm working on it. I'm working on it. So Michael was taking dives in the deep end, and my girlfriend was with him, and she came over to me because she was like, hey, let's get over this fear today. Let's start working on it. So she grabs me, and I mean, she's probably, I gotta say, like, I'm here and she's like here, like we're not that close at all. Mm-hmm. And the guy just looks at us and he starts screaming at us kind of thing, like, hey, there are rules here. You can't be standing that close to each other. And at the end of the day, the reason that he was acting like that is he was homophobic. That's what it was. That was the answer. He was homophobic. 100%. So when he was doing this, I just remember my mentor saying, Gismel, you can be right or you can be successful. And this is while he's screaming at me. You can be right or you can be successful. You can be right or you can be successful. And I told him, I looked at him and I said, hey, she's teaching me how to swim. And I understand that these are the rules. Is there an exception to that? And he was like, I don't care what she's trying to teach you, in his accent. I don't care what she's trying to teach you how to do. You don't do that in my pool, And I was like, okay, let me ignore this guy. And I really tried. I started floating and I started thinking of other things and just trying to ignore him. And I just couldn't. I couldn't. So I said, okay, I'm not going to let this guy ruin my day. But you know what? This is not somebody that I want to be around right now. So I kept my mood good. I said, you know what, babe? Keep swimming, do your thing. I'm going to go back to the house. I don't want to trigger him to do something or whatever, to say something. So I left. Yeah. As I was packing up my things and leaving, I just remember him looking at me and him telling me, like, you best not come back and try to do that again. And I sort of looked at him and I said, hey, next time you want a human being to respect you, you speak to them the way you'd like to be spoken to. And he just looked at me and he said, well, I don't care. I don't care how I'm speaking to you. This is how I speak. The way that you take it is your fault. And this is while he's yelling at this point. So I just looked at him and I recognized, you know what? He's not going to understand me. And I really can try to get him to understand me. That's only going to make me angrier. It's only going to make me more upset, but I'll try. And I recognized that that wasn't worth it. So I looked at him and I said, sir, all that I ask is that anybody that comes into this pool, you speak to them like a human being. But you know what? I understand that you may not understand that right now, and that's okay. I hope you have a great rest of your day. And I walked away. I don't think Gismel would have done that. But that was a lesson right there in itself, where I don't need to try to convince somebody the values that I've learned when he probably never learned those values. And I can't sit here and lecture him. Hopefully he takes this as a lesson. If he doesn't, that's okay. I don't think he did, because he threw his phone after I said that to him and he got super upset. And I just started laughing. I really did. I started laughing because it was like, good job, Gismel.
Yeah.
You did that. It was awesome.
Yeah, for real. It takes so much willpower, and it takes a bigger kind of person to not respond to that with violence, because that would be someone's innate reaction, because that's just how we are, not only as New Yorkers, but also as human beings, you know?
Are you saying that because you would have done that?
I'll plead the fifth, but excuse me. I think that, it takes a whole lot to not stoop down to their level and give them the same energy they're giving you, because that's what they expect you to do.
And that feeling of like, you feel that in your heart, like you feel the fire and your face starts turning red and you're like, oh, the things that I could say to you right now. But you know what? Me not doing that is going to affect him way more than me doing that. Because now when I left there, I know he started thinking about all of the things that he did that he could have done differently. Mm-hmm. And then to me, I'm not even thinking about that. I'm like, I hope he's okay, and that's that feeling that you want to go after, where you don't think about what I could have done differently. You act because you acted differently. You feel better about that. And that's what personal development will do, only if you allow yourself to get there.
100%. Spoken like a true champ. Goddamn, Gismel. Always bringing the dimes, for real. This is why I love talking to you, and this is why I'm glad we could get something recorded together, because I feel like other people need to hear these things too. It's one thing to hear it from somebody on your page that you don't know, but we have a lot of mutual friends. We have a lot of people who know of us, of each other, and I think that this is something that a lot of people need to hear. And I feel as though that it would click a lot more if it's coming from somebody that everybody knows, and also just to show off your tremendous growth as a person.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And I also don't expect this for this to be the last time that we do this either.
Oh, no, not at all. You and I have a very special project that we've been working on. It'll be debuting soon enough. I'm not going to give anybody any dates, but you'll know when you know.
Exactly. Just stay tuned to our Instagrams, our social media, and I hope that what it does is it inspires you to be tired of being tired.
Yeah.
And to do something about it. I really do.
Yeah, I believe that we're put here on this earth to do something. And I believe that every creative has some kind of contribution to the world, whether they see it yet or not. But I hope that this is what we're going to do is going to be just one of our many contributions to the world. Because I feel like we both, I dropped my pen. I feel like we both have something really important to say. And great. I don't see why we don't deserve that platform, but especially, let me not say too much, but we got some stuff in the works and I'm really excited.
100%.
You already touched on the socials a little bit, but why don't you expand upon that? Tell people where they can find you and how to get in touch with you.
Yes, you can find me on Facebook as Gismel Gomez. You can find me on Instagram as Gismel_Gomez. That's GISMEL_Gomez with a Z. You can also find me on TikTok. Find me there as G Knows Money. Look at that. I'm getting a bunch of comments already.
Hey.
But yeah, you can find me there too, G Knows Money. And it's just about spreading positivity. That's what it's about. And there's not enough like that in the world. There really isn't.
Yeah. Paying it forward is so important. Oh God, excuse me. Oh, excuse me.
You found it.
Yep. There we go. I thought I had a better leash on that. Sorry, everyone. I did not expect for you to hear my burp in stereo sound, so I'm sorry. All right.
Luckily you were far from the mic, so.
Yeah, I wasn't like right on top of it.
Exactly.
Okay. I think that's where we're gonna end this today.
Yeah.
But one more time, Gismel, I just want to thank you for coming out and giving us an episode, giving the people giving the people some value, and always coming through with your most authentic and best self, and just dropping dimes as usual.
Of course, this is probably also one of your shorter episodes.
Oh, and yeah, you were very much to the point. That's hold on. Before I get myself a hot water, that is no slight to anybody else I've sat down and recorded with. I actually very much enjoy long conversations, but Gismel and I, we just have a habit of always being very to the point.
Yeah.
And we just cut through a lot of shit, like we don't always get off track, which is usually something I really enjoy doing. But sometimes then the gravity of a conversation doesn't always lend to the long format. Sometimes it's more impactful if it's just like that.
And I was going to say too, that a lot of it, we're just saving for what's to come.
That as well. Everything is done with an intent and a reason. I guarantee you.
100%. 100%. That's how you got to operate.
Yeah, always. With that being said, once again, thank you, Gismel.
Of course.
This has been Enrique's Entries. You know where to find me on Instagram at Enrique Ortiz __. That is also with a Z. You can find my blog on enriquesentries.substack.com. And you can listen to the podcast on all major streaming services. Just search up Enrique's Entries, the podcast. And you can find us on YouTube as well. And thank you, everyone, for listening. And we'll see you next time.